Now, when we think of a war, we usually picture a very specific type of event. There's a clear beginning, often marked by a speech or a declaration.
On my orders, coalition forces have begun striking selected targets of military importance to undermine Saddam Hussein's ability to wage war. These are opening stages of what will be a broad and concerted campaign.
There are armies, uniforms, front lines, and a sense that something has fundamentally shifted from peace to conflict.
But nothing is more certain than that every trace of Hitler's footsteps, every stain of his infected and corroding fingers will be sponged and purged, and if need be, blasted.
History books are full of these moments, but the most important war of our time looks nothing like that. In fact, one of the reasons it's so dangerous is it never officially started. There was no declaration and no single moment when the world agreed that a new kind of war had begun. Instead, it emerged slowly, almost invisibly, through a series of actions that didn't seem like war on their own. A cyber attack here, a disinformation campaign there, a mysterious explosion at a pipeline, a sudden outage in a major city. Each incident was explainable, deniable, and often dismissed as an isolated problem. But together they form a pattern. This is a war designed to exist in the grey zone. It lives in the space between peace and conflict, where countries can harm each other without triggering a traditional military response. And because it stays in that space, it's incredibly hard to spot. At the heart of this new kind of conflict is the idea that you don't need to invade a country to weaken it. You just need to disrupt the systems that it relies on.
Cyber threats are a challenge to our national security. Much of our critical infrastructure, our financial systems, our power grid, health systems, run on networks connected to the internet, which is hugely empowering, but also dangerous.
Modern societies are built on invisible networks, electricity grids, financial systems, communications infrastructure, supply chains, and data. If you can interfere with those systems, even briefly, you can cause chaos without ever firing a shot. Cyber warfare is one of the clearest examples of this. Governments around the world are constantly probing each other's digital defences, looking for vulnerabilities. These attacks aren't always about stealing information, they're about proving that an attack is possible. The message is simple: if things escalate, we can turn your lights off, freeze your bank accounts, or shut down your hospitals. And sometimes these attacks move from messaging into reality. Hospitals have been forced offline by ransomware, and fuel supplies have been disrupted. Entire government departments have also been locked out of their own systems.
The most urgent challenge facing this body today is to prevent the tyrants of Tehran from acquiring nuclear weapons.
What makes cyber warfare particularly unsettling is how difficult it is to identify. Attacks are routed through multiple countries, criminal groups, and compromised servers. Even when experts are confident about who is responsible, proving it publicly is another matter. That uncertainty gives countries cover to deny involvement, delay responses, and avoid escalation. The result is a constant low-level conflict where everyone knows what's happening, but no one quite admits it. Alongside cyber attacks is another powerful weapon: information, or more accurately, and as we like to call it, misinformation or disinformation. This isn't about convincing everyone of a single lie, it's about flooding the information space with so many conflicting narratives that people stop believing anything at all. When trust collapses, society becomes easier to divide and harder to govern.
Responsible countries need to take action against criminals who conduct ransomware activities on their territory. So, we agreed to task experts in both our countries to work on specific understandings about what's off limits and to follow up on specific cases that originate in other countries, in either of our countries.
Social media has become a key battleground in this war. Foreign leaders can amplify existing tensions, promote extreme views, and exploit moments of crisis. They don't need to invent problems, they just need to make existing ones worse. A disputed election, a public health emergency, or a protest movement all become opportunities to undermine confidence in institutions and democratic processes. What's particularly effective about this strategy is that it turns a country's own freedoms against it. Open societies rely on free speech, open debate, and trust in shared facts. Disinformation campaigns exploit those values, using openness as a weapon. And because much of these activities are carried out by fake accounts, bots, or loosely connected networks, it can be dismissed as organic or accidental, even when it clearly isn't.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
Economic pressure is another front in this undeclared war. Sanctions, trade restrictions, and financial isolation have become tools of coercion, capable of inflicting enormous damage without military action. When a country's access to global markets are restricted, the effects ripple outward. Currency values fall, inflation rises, and ordinary people feel the impact long before political leaders do. Then there's the physical infrastructure that underpins the modern world, much of which exists out of sight and out of mind. Undersea cables carry the vast majority of global internet traffic. Pipelines transport energy across continents. Satellites enable navigation, communication, and surveillance. These systems are essential, fragile, and often poorly protected. And when something goes wrong with the infrastructure, it's often hard to tell if it was an accident or an attack. This ambiguity is not a flaw of the system, it's a feature of the war. By operating in a space where accidents are plausible, countries can test boundaries without provoking a clear response. The difficulty is, because the war was never officially started, we don't have clear language for it. There's no victory, no surrender, no peace treaty waiting at the end. It's a constant state of tension, adaptation, and pressure. And while it may feel less dramatic than the wars of the past, it affects our lives just as profoundly. For more videos like this, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next.